What does independence mean to you?
People think it's just a word, but it's not. It's the most precious thing to have. For me, with limited vision and hearing, I'm going to hang on to it as long as I can.
Ramona Rice contacted the Disability Law Center last fall because of difficulties she was having securing accommodations with Intermountain Healthcare as well as specifically McKay Dee Hospital. The first problem that Ramona encountered had to do with the elevators at McKay Dee Hospital. Specifically, there were issues with the motion sensors and the doors not being activated, so they were closing on both herself and her service animal.
It would be so hard for me to force it back open. I have my service dog, Stormy. He's always one step forward ahead of me. For him to go through and get knocked over, that would be a horrible injury for him to deal with. And that also could force him into retirement, because if he get hurt on the elevator, he would never want to enter onto the elevator again.
Additionally, there was a lot of ambient noise in the hospital lobby, which resulted in Ramona not being able to hear the bell sounds, tolling that the elevator had arrived or that it was departing.
I approached McKay Dee if they could increase the elevator bell signal volume, and they said they couldn't do it. It wasn't possible, but if I could bring somebody with me to help me with that. I didn't want that because that would just take away my independence.
Ramona also encountered difficulties directly with McKay Dee Hospital staff. When she came into appointments, they had an electronic signature pad where they wanted her to sign that she understood updates to policies, contact information, and additional information provided by the hospital. However, because of the format that they were presented in, Ramona could not read what they were asking her to sign, and they weren't responding to her request for accommodations.
Again, they said they couldn't do it, and if I could bring someone to help me with that. Well, that would go against Privacy Act practice, because I do not want to share my medicals or personal information out in the lobby area.
We drafted a strongly worded demand letter letting McKay Dee know what their obligations were under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and then requested the specific accommodations for Ramona when it came to the screen readers, so that she was able to know what she was reading and consenting to. In response to that, IHC was very cooperative. They provided her with electronic copies via email of any documents that they were going to be requiring her to sign, as well as patient aftercare. She was then able to manipulate the font and enlarge it so that she could sign it on her own terms. We continued to work with IHC in making sure that the elevators were brought up to their standards. Eventually, all elevators at McKay Dee were brought to the required 10 decibel above ambient noise for their bell signals, and the motion sensors were also fixed.
I didn't want to quit there, so I went ahead and called McKay Dee compliance officer, and he had listened to my situation and my concern and how important it is for me to continue my independent lifestyle. So he paused for a second and he said, you know, I am going to call the engineering department and ask them to order the parts, and we're going to go even higher decibels just for you and all the other patients with hearing impairment. It made me realize how easy it was to work with a compliance officer. I was able to approach 6 more facilities and their compliance officer and succeeded. For that, I want to thank Disability Law Center for all they've done for me, and it helped me to pave the path for many people after me to live a little bit better.
Ramona is an excellent example of the effects of self-advocacy. As a result of Ramona's self-advocacy and her quest for independence, she secured independence for not only herself, but for an entire community of individuals who are hard of hearing and blind that attended McKay Dee Hospital.